So the question that I get asked the most recently is it okay to use full frame lenses on APS-C bodies? The answer is yes, it is absolutely okay to do that. Don't worry, you're not committing any sort of cardinal sins. There's no photography or videography god to answer to. In fact, I've done it a lot and gotten a lot of great results. In low light too. So in today's video, I'll be going over the advantages as well as the disadvantages of using full frame lenses on APS-C bodies. And a portion of this video is sponsored by KEH Camera. Okay, so let's take a look at this concert that I've shot here. I was using the crop sensor Sony a6000 and a6500 with the 85mm 1.8, 24-70 f2.8, and 70-200 f2.8 lenses. All full frame glass. And despite the a6000 being 8 years old now, with quality glass, the image quality off of this camera still holds up extremely well, even in low light. Combined with the f1.8 aperture on the 85, I can still be at a relatively low ISO while still pushing my shutter speed to freeze the action on stage. Now the 4K video here was shot on the a6500 with both of the zoom lenses, and those are at f2.8. Not as wide open as the 85 f1.8, but I'm actually not too concerned with the noise because most modern mirrorless cameras today can do well up to ISO 3200 so long as there's good amount of light on your subject. So we know we can get some good stuff with a full frame lens and an APS-C body combo, but does it bring additional benefits? Actually, it does. My friend Professor Hines shared with me that it's actually advantageous to use a combo like this because the small crop sensor is only big enough to see and use the best part of the glass. Generally, most, if not all, lenses are sharpest around the center, ignoring all of the edges imperfections, if there are any. And we've done some amazing sunset street photography with the a6400 and the full frame ZEISS 55mm 1.8. Just look at how sharp these images are. Oof, butter. Another benefit is the case of the 70-200. It has the constant aperture of f2.8. Now I don't believe there's an APS-C equivalent that has this constant aperture as well, so if you want that bokeh and the low light advantage with distance like this, you'll find it in the full frame telephoto lenses. While we're at it, might as well throw in the 35 and the 50mm f1.2 because we don't have that f1.2 for the APS-C. Now, are there reasons to not use full frame lenses on APS-C bodies? There are, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. Obviously, we're not in New York right now, so no leafy backdrop behind me, so we're forced to come outside and interact with real nature. Anyways, this entire video is all about using full frame lenses on APS-C bodies, but unfortunately, the thing is, full frame lenses are generally more expensive than their APS-C counterparts. However, if you know you will be upgrading to a full frame camera in the near future but want to pick up some full frame glass now, fortunately for you, there are some ways to save on some greens. Not this kind of green, obviously. I'm a huge believer in buying used gear. It was how I got started building up the equipment that I needed. And to this day, I still buy used gear. If your boy can save a few pennies, you bet your bottoms he's gonna. So I partnered up with KEH Camera to let you know you can pick up some affordable full frame lenses or any used camera gear in general. Not only that, but it's also safe and easy to do. If anything does go wrong, they are a reputable site, and the pre-loved gear that you buy is backed by their 21-day return window and a warranty of 180 days. Or if you have some camera gear you want to let go, you can also resell and trade in with them. You can get a virtual quote or schedule an appointment with a trained buyer. They will help you schedule a pickup from your home so you never have to leave your house. And hey, if you're not happy with the offer, they will return your gear back to you for free. Cost you nothing. But hey, if you are, you get your money immediately, or you can apply the credit to your next purchase with an additional 10% off. Especially with the whole chip shortage on cameras, it can be hard to get your hands on a new piece of gear, so why not be sustainable? Give that piece of gear a new home and buy used. Check the link in the description box below for more information and let them know the Vong sent you. Anyways, time for me to head back to New York City. Okay, so what are some of the reasons to not use full frame lenses on APS-C bodies? Reason number one, proportion to size ratio. Depending on the full frame lenses you're planning to pick up, there could be a massive imbalance where the front of the setup just gets way too heavy. For pro work, you'll probably be way too focused to even notice, but if it's for casual, for vacation, yeah, it's not gonna be fun to carry a setup like this around all day. There is likely an APS-C equivalent that you can pick up that will give you the same amount of range and feel way more balanced at a much lower cost. Now, of course, there are exceptions to the rules and suggestions, but again, we're talking very generally here. Reason number two, most full frame lenses don't have lens stabilization. And they don't really need to have that built in nowadays because full frame cameras have built-in in-body stabilization. And that IBIS there is going to be great to compensate for the handheld jitters, especially when you're shooting videos. However, only a couple of APS-C bodies have in-body stabilization, so if you have one that doesn't, you might want to consider an APS-C equivalent lens that does. And finally, reason number 3, price. Full frame is almost always more expensive, so unless you know you'll be upgrading to a full frame camera in the near future, you can always save the money and get an APS-C equivalent. But again, if you're investing for the future and you're gonna get a full frame camera soon, then yes, you should invest in full frame glass now. After all, camera bodies are temporary with how often there's an update, but great glass is forever. Instead of buying twice, you just have to buy once. And great glass will always breathe new life into an old camera body, as we've seen from the a6000. So hopefully this video has answered your question. If you guys enjoyed this video, do these 3 things right here, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.